Will is getting really good on that keyboard, but the Yamaha, like Yamaha.
Yeah, man, I was rocking it out here. I'm gonna pull myself off of the stream here, and you guys go ahead.
Okay, put them. I'm not going to say anything to that. Right, gents. Just a quick introduction. Who's on the call? Obviously, you've got myself. We've got Jeff. We've got Spike. We've got Pada, and we've got Philip in Tanzania. As mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, guys, since we all last spoke, things have been drastically changed. I think to summarise why things are completely different, it would be to instantly look at our budgets that we were trying to attain the first time round. Post-pandemic, in a practical sense, at this moment in time, our budget has doubled. Whether we are internally inside Africa or we transport players outside Africa to play. So on the basis of that, there has been a kind of decision to move towards doing what we can do. After speaking to Dick and a few other people, we decided to kind of push on in whatever way we could individually. And I guess that's one of the purposes of this call, to come back and see what we've all been up to. Some are going to have more news than others, and we've got some good things to look forward to as well with a bit of luck. So I guess in terms of where we started, guys, obviously we came together as a group, came at various different times, and I'm pleased to say the ones that are on the call right now have kind of remained throughout that process. So that's nice to see. That's going to lead me on to one of my major points in a second, but I'll draw back to that. Before I throw a couple of points down you guys and start getting it flowing, is anybody got anything they want to say before we kind of kick off? I'll take it as a no, guys. Somebody isn't muted. If you can mute, I don't know who it is. I think it might be Jeff. Sorry, bud. Okay. I guess I'll start with updates from myself, guys, and then I'll throw it around because I think there'll be a natural flow to this. So, as most of you know, Pada has brought our friend Philip into the equation, who is the only person that successfully has stayed in Africa because he managed to get there during the pandemic and stay, and has kindly offered his services to kind of push us on. Has become deeply embedded within the Tanzanian Rugby Union, working on their behalf and working with them. And in honesty, even that kind of got to a standstill despite the Tanzanian staying open during the pandemic. So we kind of got to a point where we couldn't even do anything within Tanzania, which was currently open, to give you some perspective for those sitting outside. So things went on pause there. I guess there's a point to this story. Then out of the blue, I get a call off Jeff, and Jeff and I have a discussion, and he makes me aware of his new connection, working on development within the Congo, or Congolese, I should say, and supporting them in some of their aspirations, and mentions that, unfortunately, it looks like Tanzanian Rugby were about to be expelled from becoming an associated member of the World Rugby and Africa Rugby Programme, and kind of teed up a conversation with myself, which now has led inadvertently to everyone else around the table stepping in terms of development, including Pada with the website, which I'll ask Will to flip to, and Will pulling in some other stuff, including sort of structural overlays. And I guess aside from, and then obviously Phil doing stuff on the ground, aside from Spike, who's been absolutely useless in the process. Only joking, Spike. I think it's a good exercise in showing what we can actually do quite quickly if we all allowed individually to work together and do what we like to do best. And that's going to lead on to a few other things. But I guess I want to use that as a reference point for everything else in the discussion, where I feel that's where somewhere we've fallen down, or I have to put my hands up and say I've fallen down. We've tried to steer it in terms of one big ship, as opposed to I would kind of attribute it to sort of special forces, where each person goes off and does their own thing and feeds it back. I don't want to sort of say we're a guerrilla warfare operation, guys, but I guess my point is I think that's probably the best way for us to work forward in this current situation, is going through on specific tasks and then feeding them back, as opposed to having these long drawn out meetings like tonight. And if I can have an agreement on that at the end of the call, I think that would be a way to achieve things a lot faster. And so the current situation with that is it looks very much like Tanzania, because of Phil's hard work on the ground and support from both Pada, Will, and Peter Cheek. Have I missed anyone else out who's in the Scorpions? And probably not. It looks like things will kickstart there. For those who don't know, myself, Phil, and Will have purchased a plot of land in Tanga, and I'll come on to that at a later stage. So there's lots been going on in Tanzania in terms of development, and I guess we're in a position from your perspective, Pad, now to turn that into some form of solid content that we can now use, because that's been lacking over the last period of time. Anyone got anything to add to that, gents? No. Not cool. All right. I guess I'll go through a timeline of things that we've got coming up. For those who are not aware, if you've got a diary in front of you guys, it's probably a good time to grab it. Aside from tonight's call, next week we are potentially launching on this platform our Scorpions podcast. I want to kind of, before I go to any other points, have a discussion around that. I haven't really got a solid plan for that, guys, if I'm being honest. The biggest challenge is creating a platform to do it and making sure that we could run it. We're now in a position to do that. I've asked Ed Taylor to act as one of the person's interviewers, I guess. But I want to throw it out there to other members, guys, here, and see if anybody else want to come on and do that as well. So that's something that anybody would be interested in, guys. I didn't want to kind of make it a focal point as one person being the presenter type thing. If you catch my drift, I kind of wanted to have somebody doing a narrating, I guess, from the members, and kind of keeping it in house as much as possible.
Who are we interviewing first,
guys? Dick Greenwood with a bit of luck.
Okay,
he's agreed in principle. No problem.
You asked me there a couple of weeks back to do up a Lions badge that looked exactly like Lions badge, but had Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda in it. So I did that up. I was going to put something up on the Scorpions Facebook page now that the Lions team has been announced, sort of highlighting, tongue in cheek, highlighting that, we could put together a Lions team to face the Lions and who would get selected, and highlighting the fact that the East African Tuskers played the Lions back in whatever it was, 1950, and sort of play on that for a little bit for Scorpions history. And if Dick Greenwood is going to be the first person interviewed, I think that would all play together quite nicely, because we could ask him about that sort of stuff on the interview. So I might run that story this week on the Scorpions Facebook page ahead of the podcast, and try and get generate some interest in the podcast. Because if we just have the podcast without any sort of preamble for it, you're not going to get many people tuning into it. But if we put something up and create some sort of a bizarre interest potentially, with people going, oh shit, who are these teams? They play the Lions and everything like that. And then they see, geez, Dick Greenwood is doing an interview. Let's have a listen to that, So I might do that this week.
Yeah, I think as long as there's you can show the direct tie-in from the history from, the 1953, I think it's 1953 and 1958 games. And then the Scorpions was 1959, I believe. So that's where the progression lied, if you look at it. So East African Union played against the Lions those dates, 53 and 58. And then the Scorpions came the year after out of that. So that's the lineage, if you like. I would suggest speaking to Eduardo if you want to put what I would call a fantasy team in for selection, because he is the only person with his finger on the pulse in terms of who's the best players.
No, I wouldn't actually name any players, just more speculation, so that people who are reading it can speculate, as opposed to us actually naming players. People can speculate and say whoever the hell they want.
Okay. Just to be aware, if you wanted to put players, you put them in.
You're on mute, mate.
sorry, I was going to say Philip Walker Arch, who wants to connect with us with his charity PW7. Might be worth, putting him in at number 10 and then asking everyone else to name the rest of the players they suggest. And then you could tag like Rwandan Rugby Union and a few things like that. But yeah, that sounds a great idea. But everyone happy with that? Okay, so that's Sunday, the 16th of May. And what I'm proposing is, I don't know if anyone's in agreement, is to basically run that once a month. And that will be our monthly podcast. And we'll aim for as big celebrities as possible. I'm working on getting a few famous people via a few connections I've got at the moment, and trying to get Percy Montgomery and Gary Teichmann on. In honesty, guys, I think it would be good if other people would kind of get involved with this. Will and myself have been focused on, I guess, getting the production right and making sure that's right. But I think if, like, Pat is obviously going to get involved with the social media and that side of things. But if anyone else feels like they can get involved in any capacity, please put their hands up. I guess the next thing then is, I'll use Eduardo. I'll wait for him to get on. Eduardo, can you unmute if you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Sorry, I'm stuck in traffic, but I can hear everything very well.
No problem.
Hi, guys.
Good man. Nice to see you. Hope you're well.
Apologies, guys. I'm going to have to turn my camera off here for about 10 minutes and go in listen only mode, but I'll still be on. I just can't have
No problem. No problem. Okay, gents. The next thing to kind of talk about is, and these are things that we want to get behind, is on Saturday, the 22nd of May, Philip will be running a coaching, I'll rephrase that. Start again. Through Jeff's contacts at World Rugby, there will be World Rugby educators coming down to Moshi, down in Tanzania, to run a coach education course. But that will obviously be supported by us. I've asked Philip to get 100 T-shirts done with the Scorpions logo and the word Scorpions Development on it. And obviously they can be given out to participants, and there'll be various other things. We'll support the practical aspects of the course running. So I guess that's another thing that we want to share in terms of content through PADA and the social media and the website, of stories and things that we're actually practically now doing ourselves, guys. I'm moving as fast as I can because there's a real good one coming up. Wednesday, the 22nd of May. Will, could you pull up the website that PADA's designed? So one of the things that PADA's done is design a website for the Tanzanian Rugby Union. This has been a bit of a ball ache for the last couple of years. A couple of other guys have been involved with this as well, so thanks to them. But the major thing, if you go to the About Us section, guys, this has all come together since Jeff's phone call, I believe, 2 weeks ago, Jeff. So Jeff calls us 2 weeks ago, and we've pulled all this together in 2 weeks, guys. Spike, if you want me to drop you a link to this, it's in a draft mode at the moment, but I could do with a bit of an fill in a bit of content in, Spike, and these guys, if you really want to step in, that's something that these guys need help with. Some of these guys don't speak the best level of English. So, as you can see here, the social media accounts, not all, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Most of these logos have been designed by PADA, so again, thanks to him. And some of these clubs have got their own stuff. So, these clubs have been created out of dust since our last journey, since Will and I went over. I think some of you know about the Doma, and it's kind of been expanded from this. It's taken up the bulk of our time. And we want to kind of be able to replicate this model through the Scorpions development in other places, guys. So what we're trying to demonstrate is we could come into, say, South Sudan. We've now been given, finally, because we've given different versions. Now we got the up-to-date current version of the 16-point criteria that is needed, which I'll send you, Spike, in order for a country to become an official recognized union. So my particular thing, and the reason I want to present this on the call, is I know that this is very possible for us to replicate this in this other places through what Jeff is doing and through what I've already done and looking to do. I'm already in probably about 4 points in Ethiopia, to give you some idea already. So those 16 points are not as hard as you would think, but they do require a team of people who can do this type of thing. So I guess that's where I see the Scorpions Development Charity kind of spreading its wings and kind of working in direct development, which I'll cover in a second. So again, want to get behind that coaching course down in Moshi. Phil, anything you want to say about that, bud? The coaching course and the rest course?
Well, actually, funny enough, I spoke to the guy from the that's coming down to run the course, and I was under the impression it was a 2-day course for coaching and for refereeing, and he's informed me that it's actually a 1-day coaching course and a 1-day refereeing course. So now, instead of having 2 coaches in each region and 1 referee, we're going to have 3 referees and 3 coaches, which is it's obviously a lot better. So if we can pull that off in a few other places, then we'll have some good numbers going forward.
Awesome. Yeah. So I guess, guys, this is how you can see it coming together in a practical sense. I guess the next major one is we had a bit of a problem then. Jeff's event, which I'll let Jeff talk about in a second, was taking place on the 5th of June, which was, Pat and I had discussed, was a potential window for him and I to get over there with whoever else want to join us. The more the better, and I'll explain why. To collect as much wine as possible from Bordeaux. Hopefully have enough left over after Jeff's event to bring back to Wales and Ireland. Pat has already designed labels for the bottles of wine, get them labelled up and try to get them in every rugby club we can, with the intent to the rugby club either purchases them for a set price. I think, Jeff, off our last conversations, and I might be completely wrong, it's about €3.80 a bottle. I might be wrong, Jeff. I'll let you have a chat now. And for that $3.80 plus the labelling, obviously, so we're looking to make 15 to 20 euros a bottle on the markup, guys, just to give you some perspective what we're aiming for. And we can carry about 100 litres, which is obviously about 100 bottles per person back in. Will has agreed to come over from Canada as well, so I can carry an extra. My partner has agreed that she'll come as well. So I guess the difficulty was, guys, we were all stuck in because of the pandemic. Now, the good news is, which I'll let Jeff now come onto the line, if you want to pass him over, is his event has been moved till the 12th of June. Damn. And Ireland is open, I believe, on the 10th of June, according to Pada. So that means we can have a first tour, everyone, if everyone is excited about that. Jeff, do you want to tell a little bit more about Roger and the event, please?
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. We, with the charity, with Sports Citizen Charity, we wanted to organize a tribute charity dinner for Roger Bourgaral for the 50th anniversary of the France 15's South African tour. And we managed to get a lot of people involved. And just today, I have just sent invitations to Khaled Babu, the chairman of Africa Rugby, and Oregon Hoskins, who is the former chairman of SARU, South African Rugby Union. So there's a chance that these guys might turn up. So, of course, that's a perfect opportunity to put the Scorpions on the map too. So this is why we're doing it. I've postponed it for other practical reasons, like we won't be able to have inside dinner, indoor dinners in French restaurants before the 9th of June. So it was impossible to keep the original date. That's it.
Thanks, Jeff. I know that's probably a little bit far for you to travel, Philip, so apologies. I know there's no alcohol in Zanzibar. Spike, I know Pada, I hope Pada's not on loudspeaker and his missus is you, but Pada's considering it, shall we say. Spike, is this something that you'd be up for, bud? Is that the time of year that you can move?
Yeah, well, it's weekend. We're summer camps on in school, but it'd be grand. But free from end of June till start of September to do whatever. So put me to work if you want, anywhere.
Could you potentially go for the weekend of the 12th?
Oh yeah.
All right. So this is where my logic lies. I've got a van, so my plan was you guys do a walk on in Ireland. I pick you up on my side, then we drive to say Dover or whatever. One of the boys, my side, will hire a van and come with us as well. So we'll have another van and we'll go there and we'll do that. The one thing that I wanted to kind of add to the equation that we haven't discussed, which I think would be helpful, is for Jeff's purposes, is if we went there with some memorabilia, guys. I've still got a signed jersey of Robbie Henshaw, which is totally obsolete to me, guys. And they've got some other bits and bobs. So if we could put anything like that together to help out on the evening, I thought that would be helpful to Jeff. I'm going to try to get a Welsh jersey signed by as many people as I can from the Welsh squad, whoever has played for Wales, and things like that, guys, of that nature. And that's what's going to lead me on to Stash. But go on, Spike, jump in. Sorry, man.
I can get a Brian O'Driscoll signed Irish jersey framed and bring that. I've another jersey
Who's
signed by a few of the Irish Lions, but it's only a school jersey, but it's signed by all the 7 Irish Lions from 2013. Might be something that we can pawn off for some money.
Yep, I think Jeff, we'll have another discussion on that, but closer to the
Is
date.
that the one Paul O'Connell signed when he was drunk?
Yeah.
No comment.
Rob Kearney reluctantly signed because it was the wrong school. But he told me to go away unpolitely.
Brilliant.
Guys, right, so there's potentially, you guys, like, I think that's something we can now explore. I'll create a WhatsApp group specifically for that weekend, guys, and that'll be the only discussion taking place in there. And like I said, if the more the better, guys. Like I said, we can travel with about 90 litres to 100 litres per person. Jeff is going to get a letter from his Sports Citizen charity, which will, in effect, hopefully negate some of our potential problems bringing the wine back in, shall we say. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. The wine is in Bordeaux. And Jeff, where is the event? Sorry, again, I forget. I don't know. I don't know.
It's in Tours, in the center of France.
Yeah,
it's 2 hours away from Paris. It's basically 5.5 hours from Dover.
Okay. Sorry, great. Thank you, Fab. Could you pull up Pada's website for us, Will? It's going to lead me on to my next point. And if you can go to About Us, please, and then down to Tanga, I guess. So one of the regions in Tanzania, guys, is Tanga, which is, as we've mentioned, some of us here has invested in and purchased a plot of land. I guess the next story in terms of Scorpion development is we've got a young lad now down in Tanga who is working for the Scorpions development, or Nenge Maendeleo, as it's pronounced in Swahili, charity down there, company down there, not charity, sorry, and is on salary and is basically going to be working between there and another region, Dodoma. So in Tanga, his main priority is getting a rugby field ready for us for the start of the season, which looks like it's going to be in July in Tanzania. And I guess that's another thing in terms of content. I want to build around Pada, build a bit of a story around that and the journey of those players and that team and how that has come about through Philip's work on the ground and the connections here, I guess.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Sorry, but I can hear you got your hands full there. Okay, I'll leave it. And then there's another region, Dodoma, as well. So we're doing the same thing up in there. But I guess replicating this template, guys, and looking how we can fill that gap in helping countries or groups of people get to the stage of what they want to do with their rugby and, you know, falling under the band of Scorpions development. So I guess that leads me on to my next thing. Will, could you pull up our travel tourism site thing? Thanks, bud. Yeah, I'll go with the map of Tanzania, to be honest with you, to start with. So one of the things we're looking at the moment, guys, is obviously, as you're all aware, we're looking at setting up, well, we're in the final stages, and I'll discuss in a second, of setting up a UK-based charity. We've got a company in Tanzania, which is our entity over there, which is looking to purchase plots of land and develop rugby fields and build clubhouses, change rooms, etc., etc. And trying to get as many people involved with that as possible in different ways. But one of the ideas we've come up with is, I guess we've had a request from a company called Purple Dog, which I was discussing with Spike previously in relation to the Lions tour. These guys are looking at running alternative tours, and there doesn't appear to be anyone touring certain parts. So what we're looking to do is tie this sort of sport tourism in with rugby development, if that makes sense. So Philip is tasked with rugby development within the Tanzanian Rugby Union. And how we're looking to link the two, I guess, is forming a version of bringing coaches, more elite level coaches, to more remote parts of Africa to fill the gap. And I know Jeff is doing that exact same thing in the French-speaking parts as well. So I'm going to use this as a practical example, but I want to imagine this as a template that we're looking to replicate in as many other places as possible, as quickly as possible. And when I say places, I'm looking at countries that currently do not have a rugby union, I guess would be the easiest way to describe that. But they have to have an established government under the EU treaties, okay? So first one, if we were going to fly into, said, Tanzania, we were going to potentially land, for instance, in Dar, where we know we've got the Dar Cubs, potentially do some coaching there, travel from Dar on up to Tanga, where, as you now know, we are building a rugby field. There's already the Tanga Warriors, and that will potentially turn out to be at least the short-term international base of rugby for Tanzania. So, you know, when there becomes a international Tanzanian team, international friendlies, tours, etc. Spike, that's going to lead me on to yourself. So what I'm thinking there, Spike, is if, for instance, you know, take BlackRock or Railway Union, you know, or one of these other teams, if they were coming and they wanted to have a rugby experience per se, you know, we've now got some sort of infrastructure where they could travel and at least get involved with coaching at the weaker teams and play against the stronger teams in some format. This is a touring match, so it's not going to be high end. You know what I mean? Traveling from Tanga then up to Moshi, so Tanga is obviously a beach area. Moshi then is your mountainous region. Again, you could potentially do Kilimanjaro, etc., etc. Philip has educated me that you need a couple more days there. So they got the Moshi Bulls there, one of the newly created teams, where the Moshi Tens is taking place. Potentially, I don't know what date that would be. I think that's in June. Waiting for the rugby calendar to be announced Tuesday at the AGM this week. Scroll across, guys, then to Arusha. We got a Mount Miro there. So again, that would be potentially another climb if people wanted to winter mountain climbing. And kind of restock then for traveling more westerly towards Mwanza. Just recently, there's a young lad out in Mwanza, one of the Maasai kids that started the team up there, so that's working well. Looking to get behind him. And again, the same way we've brought Daniel in to do development and Philip, we're looking to bring some of our colleagues that we've worked with previously, who are currently and previously in the Ugandan squad across the water from Ginger to Mwanza to help out with the Mwanza Rock Lizards is their team. And then we're going to kind of look to move then through the development into Kitgoma. This kind of leads into Jeff then. Jeff's links to the Congolese. So when I spoke to your friend in the Congo, Jeff, Herman, he mentioned that he'd like to see something taking place and how close Kitgoma was. And I was ashamed there wasn't anything there. So I think they'd be quite supportive of that, and they'd give an opportunity to form some sort of solid link there, Jeff. And if there was a need for tourism in some capacity, to be able to cross the water there. Then looking to travel via boat then, which looks a bit of a journey right the way down past into that potential national park, and then further on down all the way into Zambia. Take a couple of days there. And then from Zambia, traveling back up, back into Tanzania by land from Mupalongo. And then, like I say, working away. We think there is still rugby or some rugby that is in Iringe, and then to Dodoma. I don't know if you can find Iringe. That's it. Yep, you got it. So we're looking to link something there up to Dodoma and then fly up to Zanzibar, hopefully for one of Pete's events or something on Zanzibar. So I guess that's what we're looking to pull together with the sports tourism guys, and then bringing that model and replicating that with all the profits and proceeds going directly to tourism on the other side, and looking to employ as many people through that program as possible, and making it sustainable on that side, really, from a rugby perspective. And then I guess the last thing from me, guys, if anyone wants to jump in, because I feel like I'm just talking to myself here, is we've got to the last stages with I've had this last stuff returned from the charity, commission. And I want to kind of explain what our charitable purposes are to people, guys, so we understand if we were going to pursue this, which we can. It's just a tick box exercise now, guys. We're nearly there. So just understand what needs to happen, guys. In order for this to proceed, if we are going to go down this road, we need to have 3 trustees. The challenge I've had, guys, is trying to work out if they have to be UK based. The answer is no. And I didn't want to throw it out to you until I knew that was a definite answer. You have to be over 16 years old. So check that. We have to have a charitable purpose, which I believe we do. The name of the charity would be Scorpions Development. Our structure is kind of irrelevant, but it's kind of a grammatical thing which I'd have to work on with Will. It's like a hierarchical structure of how we are laid out, guys. I think Phil would be okay with this because I've been doing it for the last couple of days. I've got a governing document. That's it. So yeah, I guess we'd have to agree what our charitable purposes are, guys. And based on what I've just told you now and what we have planned, I guess that would lead on to what our charitable purposes are or are not. And then you can see if you agree or disagree. I'll go through each one individually and I can have a yay or nay. So if you understand, guys, it's under, I think it's the 2011. Will, can you pull up the UK Gov site for me, please, bud? Yeah, you're looking for, scroll down to looking for structures, CIO, charitable incorporated organization. Keep going down. It'll be not CIO. That's the one, right? Yeah, click on that one if you can. Okay, can you see what it says? Yeah, there we are. Right. So charitable purposes. Can you go to charitable purposes? The blue. No, down, under supporting documents. Okay. Without going into the specific guidelines on charitable purposes, guys, because it would be all night, and I don't think anyone will support the arse. There's a specific set criteria, and then you have to decide if you're part of it. This is a little bit more complex than there, and I'll go into elaborate detail what ones we do and do not meet. So the first one I think we meet is advancement of education. And I tell you why I think we meet this criteria is because we offer in coach education right now, for instance, in conjunction with the Tanzanian Rugby Union and World Rugby. There are coach education taking place. So if that was funded, for instance, so I'll use Philip and I as a practical example. One of our ball aches now is we need to find, I don't want to know how much money I need to find, probably about £500 now to run a coaching course out of thin air. So World Rugby want to charge for their coach educators, so that doesn't come free, and all their coach educators have to be paid, and you have to get this in order to meet the criteria. So it's a bit of a chicken and the egg scenario. Tanzanian want to reform the rugby union, need to have coach education, can't afford to do so, so can't get support for not being an associated member. So a bit weird. So obviously that's going to come from private donations. More long term, if we agree on the things I want to agree on this evening, that could come through said charity. Just so you can know, guys, if we submit the last documents now, that process will be about a 2-week turnaround if everyone has agreed on this call and works with me over the next 2 weeks. So advancement of education. So I would argue referee education, coach education, that is a form of education. So if it meets a specific set of criteria and gets a internationally recognized qualification, I would argue that we are trying to advance education. Can I have a yes or no on that one, guys? Because we can have more than one, but I need to kind of go through them individually. I can't see everyone else will.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, Grant.
Cool. Got 3 votes. That's good enough. Happy days. We'll proceed with that one. Right. I'll do this as fast as possible. Advancement of citizenship. No, I don't think so. Or community development. So I would argue what Philip is doing right now, building our rugby field down in Tanga, comes in the community development, guys. The specific criteria under that, and I'll be honest with you, so because I know people are probably questioning how far into that, the promotion of community capacity or building, the promotion of the voluntary sector. So if you think about a rugby club, how a normal rugby club operates, you know, and I know there's volunteers within that. And this use the guy that is carrying the water ball, that might be his moment of glory every Saturday doing that particular role. And he is now a volunteer as part of the rugby club. Do we agree that we promote community capacity and building, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fabulous, fabulous. That's a 3-way vote. Right. This is a pretty self-explanatory one. If you say no to this one, please remove yourself off the call and never call me ever again. Advancement of amateur sport. And then the abbreviation, guys, is charities advancing sport at a local club level. Organizations concerned with the promotion of a particular sport. So in this case, guys, we fall under that. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, if you're not comfortable answering in English, you can answer in French, mind, just so you know.
Parbleu.
Excuse me, guys. I'm just going through my notes. Okay. We kind of fall into a lot of these criteria, guys, but just to understand, I want to make sure that there's ones we can actually hit. And then if we were reviewed at our AGM and we felt that that was not fit for purpose, we could add other stuff in. But this is stuff we can actually achievable targets in the next 6 months that we know we're going to hit already, guys. So I think it'd be wise to go for those ones, all right? Promotion of equality, guys. Charities promoting equality and diversity by the elimination of discrimination on the grounds of age, sex, and sexual orientation. I would argue straight away that the values that are instilled not only within the rugby club of the Scorpions, but the rugby clubs that we're developing would have to meet those criteria in order to fulfill the World Rugby criteria and the Rugby Africa criteria. So under the bylaws. So I would argue that we naturally would be doing that because that's part of our mandate, if that makes sense. That's 3 yeses. Okay. Guys, I guess that's it over for me, except for one last thing before I throw it out to everyone else to fire up anything they want. I want to be clear, the feasibility and the still end game, guys, is to get a team on the field, right? And I don't want to think that's been lost in any part of this process. But we've always been in a chicken and egg scenario, as we've said a million times before, trying to work out, do we get a rugby team and then the money from the rugby team covers the development we're now doing, or do we do development? Now, the money from development has to come from some sort of income and revenue stream. And Will, could you pull up the, sorry to put you on the op here, could you pull up the Tanzanian union flowchart for revenue and the other one that'll do. If you can just blow that up. I'll use this as an example of what I'm thinking in my head right now, guys, because by us building the content, what we're naturally doing in development is something we've kind of shied away from for a long time, but there is a lot of good development, and I think it has to be kind of highlighted, not for our purposes, but mainly because it draws a lot of notoriety to the people we're trying to promote anyway. So I want to be clear on this, guys. There's 2 reasons we're kind of searching for this content. It's not just for ourselves. It's mainly to put other people front and center and kind of say that they've been supported by us, not, you know, we've done this, we are doing this. So this is a good example of Tanzanian Rugby Union, guys. So that's all the potential arms of sponsorship they're now going to access and going to need support in accessing. And what we've said to them is, when Scorpions development is up and running, we would be one of those feeders from the charitable sector in the top left there, if that makes sense, where it says rugby-based charities. So, yeah, can you just go back out of the full screen of everyone, please, Will? So I guess that's a good example of what we're trying to achieve on a union level, guys. And can everyone see? Sorry to be pulling away from that. So this is what sort of the documents and things, and Will and myself will be working through. But I guess the next step on this would be Jeff looking to do this and replicate this model. Now that we've got a team of people that are going to become better at doing this in other areas of Africa when this is running successfully, under the same Scorpions umbrella, in order to, I guess, be recognized as more for development as well as a touring team. You know what I'm saying? Okay, guys, that's enough for me rambling on. My last request, guys, if no one's got anything else to say for any other business, is can we, before the next conversation, guys, I need to speak, a request for anyone individually. I guess, Spike, I think it's just you and Jeff, really. I've spoken to everyone else, and including you, Philip. There is going to be a Scorpions Development Charity that involves trustees. That document that Will has pulled up on the UK government website. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. I would ask you or urge you to have a look at the conditions around being a trustee of a CIO. The major thing to understand, guys, is you have no liability in terms of losses, or if me and Philip just went on a mad one in Tanzania and spent all the charitable money, people wouldn't be looking for you in Ireland or UK. So I guess it's just a way for us guys to fundraise legitimately, I guess, is a simple way to understand what we're trying to achieve here. Phil and Pada, and this is not nice, I think. Let's take Jeff's charity out in France, for instance. He's having an event. That's the type of stuff we would want to link into, guys, and support other charities. We're not looking to be, I've gone through the charitable criteria that we meet and what we'd be doing, but under that, obviously, we're looking to support other organizations that are doing that in a practical sense. So a lot of it would be using our name, our team name, our history, our prestige to draw notoriety and try to spread the money around a bit rather than it get lost in the melee, if you know what I'm saying. So 100% of the funds so there would be no paid roles within the charity. I think that's the major thing I'm trying to dance around the houses with you guys. No one's getting paid for anything, but expenses would be covered for certain things we'd have to achieve. So there we are. And we've lost Spike at that moment. That was precise. Did I say something about money, Spike? Right.
No, I looked at the chat and then I clicked out of the chat. And I was out. It wasn't that I didn't hear it. No, gone.
No, you're good. So yeah, just want to put that down there, guys. So I guess to be polite about this, because Jeff runs a charity, I would imagine Jeff set up a charity for the same reason that I set up a charitable organization, was because a lot of people that run charities don't run them with the best intentions at heart, shall we say. And with the system that we've now got, I think it's one of the things we can actually guarantee through Jeff's organization and through the stuff that we've got going on, and how we link that up and bring other organizations in. We're now in a position to actually create a positive, real, impactable change, guys. And because there's a lot of money out there, but Philip will tell you, because he's been there for a year now, nobody's knocking on his door to hand it over to him. So I guess creating a platform for that is one of the major things we're looking to achieve here, guys. Right. So I don't take any more of anyone's time. I just want to kind of give everyone an update on where we're at. I would urge you all to speak to everyone individually. There's been a lot covered this evening. If any of you want to call me at any time, guys, this is all I'm doing at the moment, as Philip would stand testament to. I apologize, I can't keep you all updated individually. This is the best I can do. But there are a million tasks to achieve. And I know, Spike, you probably got your hands full with school holidays and catching up on all the coronavirus stuff. But June the 12th, if that weekend is good for you, that could be our potential next visit. And let's make it happen. Let's try to put a few of us in the same room. I think that would galvanize this a bit better. I know Pat is keen. And I know Edward Taylor would be corruptible. He's due a baby at that particular time. Baby's due next week in the podcast, so that could be interesting, just so any of you tuned in. So that's another thing, guys. Spike, I'd love to get you on that, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. But to get you and Jeff doing some interviews and stuff as well. It is going to be. I want it to be real, guys. I want to be real people, real fans. You know, real people who got a passion for rugby, chatting to real people about the history of where the Scorpions came from and what we could potentially do. And like the idea that Paddock got was gold. You know, just putting that idea out there. What if there was a United Africa team right now? What would that look like, and how would that compete? You know, so I guess that's our ultimate aim and what we're achieving for. Finally, any other business, guys? Anyone got anything they want to fire in? And apologies, it's all been bombarded. No, everyone's going to get okay. Go and have a glass of wine, everyone. Catch you eat. Peace. Nice new graphic. That's cool. Good night, Spike. Take it easy, bud.
I'll give you a call within the next few days, all right?
Mate, not a problem. Like I said, we're still on. It's just we've gone in a bit of a weird direction at the moment.
That's all right.
How's things with you, bud? Everything right on your side?
All grand, yeah. Now, actually got first dose of vaccine there on Friday, so that could leave me open to do a bit during the summer, wherever, possibly, you know.
Mate, that could be good because I can't see me taking it. So you could be, you can go for on my behalf. But the trip that we mentioned going through